Right, I didn't sleep last night and I just drank a sugar ton of caffeine. I have university courses to study for and emails to write, so obviously this is the perfect time to make a video. Cue the intro! Yeah, I have an intro now. Right. Again. After having firmly and unequivocally established my cred with my first and last video, Sheffield, 4 months ago? Geez, time does fly. Now having cred solid enough I could break my abs on it, I thought it was time for me to pick a fight with one of the other D&D YouTubers. Beef gets views, or so I'm told by everyone except cooking channels. And who better to pick a fight with than a helpless little kobold?
Disclaimer. This is not a personal attack. I have a great deal of respect for Kobold. Please remain respectful viewers both here and on his channel. If I wake up with an alligator eating my foot, I will blame you, and vengeance will be mine.
Yeah, I know this was a section in my last video, but it's especially important here. And besides, I found new strange ways of describing what I mean. You wouldn't want to deprive me of that, would you? What I mean when I say flavour is how something feels. How it feels to cast a spell. How it feels to make an attack. How it feels to do something or to witness something happening. Flavour is what makes our lizard brains sit up and say, "Damn, that's cool," or "Jeepers, that's creepy," or "Hot ding-a-ling-a-dong, that's absurd." I am aware that I'm stretching the flavour metaphor a bit here. This encompasses more than just a meal's flavour. It also extends to the texture a meal has and how filling it is. Things more substantial than just flavour. But what I'm trying to get at is that I consider the emotional involvement with a role-playing game that isn't intellectual or empathetic the flavour. At least, I think I do. Feel free to tell me in the comment section if you think I've missed another part of what you wouldn't consider flavour. I bring this up because I feel like Kobold doesn't extend his concept of flavour to the mechanics of the game. But you absolutely should. In many cases, it's true that the mechanics are just the foundation the flavour of the game is smeared upon, but in many other cases the mechanics themselves have flavour built into them. Why this is important will become clear later. There are two cases in which flavour isn't free. When it creates role-playing limitations and when it creates mechanical limitations. Limitations, in general, are when you give yourself limits. In other words, when you give something up, aka pay. If something gives you limitations, it's not free. Now, for point 1, this doesn't have to be an issue. Anytime when you create a character and think about how they would act and how they would fit into the world, you're setting yourself limitations. That's good, that's what we're here for. Your monosyllabic half-orc won't suddenly want to have a rousing philosophical conversation with the party wizard about truth. Unless you created them that way, of course. The problems here come when the role-playing limitations you create don't mesh with the role-playing limitations and flavour you can't shake. Those are the rules. Take the example Kobold gave in the video, a Gloomstalker Ranger build with crossbow expert whose hand crossbow is reflavoured into a bow. This is very doable, but it does raise the questions: why does this bow have so much less range and damage and let you attack more often than the other bows? And could this bow be wielded twice, one in each hand, as the hand crossbow lets you do, according to the rules? The first questions mostly add something new to the role-playing. Oh, this is a different type of bow, which my character is specialised in, you can say. That's all well and good. The latter question, however, prompts a mechanical limitation. Because it would be patently absurd to allow someone to dual-wield bows, a character cannot dual-wield with these crossbows as long as they are being reflavored as bows. And that's possible. You can do that. You can reflavor and include these limitations. But that means it's not free. Cheap maybe, but not free. I'll go more into detail of what just happened here and describe the general problems that come with adding mechanical limitations. Now first, let me make an important point. If you follow the rules, you will never be able to do more than what the rules allow. This might seem obvious, but it becomes important when you consider that this means you can only do as much or less than what the rules allow. And when you change the flavor in such a way that you need to add a new mechanical limitation, it means you now need to abide by all the old rules and your new one. If you're lucky, this new rule will never come up in gameplay, but if it does, you've lost something. Things you can do, some of your freedom to act, and quite possibly some of the power you'd otherwise have. If that happens, the flavor wasn't free. Let's take another example from the video. If you reflavor your sorcerer as a drunk recklessly mixing fire and alcohol, you'll need to explain where they get their equipment, their bottles and brews, which will probably mean they spend money getting these, making them poorer than they would have been. Or else the world provides the resources free of charge, meaning the world building needs to be adjusted. Or else you ignore it and sacrifice immersion for ease of use. And what about all the interactions other magic like counterspell and detect or dispel magic has with their abilities? This flavor wasn't free. Now, don't get me wrong. I do agree with Kobold's larger point. If you have a character concept that doesn't fit neatly into an existing class, reflavor and multi-class before reaching for homebrew. Using homebrew creates quite the risk of unbalancing the game, while sticking to existing mechanics makes that less likely. If you're lucky, you can do this without implementing new mechanical limitations for yourself, but if you can't, you'll make a character that will most likely be less versatile and thus weaker than one made just using standard flavor and mechanics. Reflavoring is a powerful tool, but it isn't always free. Now I just hope I didn't misinterpret what Kobold meant by free.